want to thank everybody for tuning in. Another video I do once a week. I want to see how many views I get before I do any more videos. Putting a lot of time in it, and I don't want to be spending this much time if nobody's really interested in this family history or research. But I do want to give a big shout out to old Bobby Bagley. Showed a lot of interest in the family history and things, and a lot of people has contacted me and asking me, like, how do you do these kind of family trees? How do you, well, it's not getting on like ancestry.com or something like that when it comes to this kind of research. And easiest way to explain it, they're like, well, how do you do it? Number of years. This ain't like I got on, like I said, Ancestry or My Heritage or something like that and did this kind of research. It has been a number of years that I've worked on it, worked hard on it, spent hours on it to develop it. And I'm not meaning that in an arrogant way or anything like that, but the only way you can prove these kind of genealogies, and that is through like especially with the medieval documents and stuff, is by actual land grants that survive from the Middle Ages, recognition rolls, Trinity rolls, things of that nature, you know what I mean? I can't even think of all the rolls right now. That's the way you prove it. You get on there, you look at it, a lot of the land, they like, well, how do you know James was the son of Thomas Bagley? Because there's a land grant that says James is the son of Thomas Bagley. That's how you prove these things. And people are like, well, how do you, when you run into a brick wall in genealogy, you've came to a point where you've hit a name change. Your name today was probably not the same name, spelling, and etc. back in the Middle Ages. It's a different spelling. As time goes, as you go back, things change. Documents change. They're no longer English. They become Latin. So, yeah, there's a lot involved in it. One of the things I'm wanting to do right now, I'm trying to raise money. I keep asking people to donate to PayPal is to have a genealogist run down some of the noble families we're related to, some of those descendants, and test between the families and have I'm not talking about 23andMe or something like that. I'm talking about a professional DNA expert. Look at the DNA to say, yes, you guys have common ancestry. You guys share a common ancestor. And I tried this once before. My mom and dad went through Bagley Hall in 2003, I believe. And they had opened a trench, an archaeological trench inside Bagley Hall, best I remember. And my dad wanted to get in and get some earth, and when he did, he found some old pieces of pipe, So I had a DNA expert to try to extract, because he specialized in extracting DNA from objects, and but he was not able to do that. So that's where I'm at with it, is like trying to really prove things through DNA and stuff like that now. But once again, jumping on Ancestry.com or something like that, and nothing that not all of it's not inaccurate. I'm just saying, when you get into these medieval genealogies, only thing I can say is this: there's nobody that knows. I don't care. I'll test my wits with anybody. I've already done it with the College of Arms and everything else anyways. That nobody knows as much about this family in the medieval form than I do. I've studied it for years, know a lot about it. It's passed down to me. My grandfather knew this stuff. He always claimed to be a descendant of Cheshire Blue Bloods and stuff like that. So, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start off with this. We'll see how many hits we get. And if there ain't a whole lot of hits, I'm not going to spend any more time doing these kind of videos and stuff. If we're not going to get a bunch of people to check them out and look at them, they're apparently not interested. But I'm going to give you the earliest part of this genealogy. I'm starting from the top, like I had mentioned before, and we'll see, and I'll show you how this came, how you piece together these medieval genealogies. So I got a few notes in front of me because I tell you, it's a lot of stuff to remember. So I'm going to look at some of my notes just to share them with you, because I want to make sure, because one of my objectives when I was doing these videos was to not only share the genealogy, but to share the source of where I got it from. That way and you can validate it. You can look at it and you can validate that genealogy, that source that I got. So I'm going to start, and it's a very extensive genealogy that I got on this family. And so I'll share the source, and then I'm going to share that genealogy with you right now. Now this is in the Welsh recognition and deeds and inquisitions, but there is something you can see online. That's called the Reports from the Commission, Volume 27, 44 Henry III, and it actually mentions the rolls that you can see: Welsh recognition, deeds, and inquisitions. Okay, this is the earliest mention outside of the Domesday Book of Bagley, so of the Bagley family. In the Domesday Book, it's mentioning some individuals that's there, Sugo, and a few others. I might even throw that in there. Maybe throw that in there to another video. But this one mentions the family, the breakdown of the family. So, and it's William Bagley, son of Peter, and it's a charter granting to John, son of Hammond Bagley, vassart of the town of Bagley, called, and I ain't a professional here, it's called Innisbrook Flocus, which William de Bagley by his charter gave to Peter, the said John, to pay yearly at the term of St. Michael 12 denarii for all services to the said William, at the same term his third and last, let me look at that again, his best pig when saving. So that was Henry, in the time of Henry III, and I got that kind of I'll tell you what year that would be. That would be about, I believe it was like 12, thought I had it wrote down here. Yeah, I think it was about 1228. So this grant is arriving at about 1228. And then the same William, in Ward 216, 531/1 of the National Archives, June 4th, 1256, he's in an indenture with John Burchell and Rose Donovan, widow of Roger Temperley, for a grant to Rose's house and dowry, and used by Roger for a penny and a pair of white gloves a year. And witnesses to that is William Massey, Richard Hermitage, William Bagley, William Carrington, and another William Bagley, and that's and Matthew Hill and Henry Burchell. So how do you work up genealogies? It's just like medieval genealogies, is what I just mentioned. You got the names of Peter, who had the son William, and Hammond, who had the son John. So I'm going to leave it at that. If we get enough views on this, I will break down the rest of the genealogies from people and run it down, because Bagley is kind of a interesting area, and it's Brockflocus. It looks like Welsh, and it almost, and translating it, it was crazy. I tried to go through a bunch of different things, but I almost could translate it, and I even went to some universities to ask professionals, and they had a hard time. It's an ancient word, but I wound up almost translating it out of what it means, and it's almost like rams, It has something to do with the ram and land and stuff like that. Kind of like the surname Bagley, which means ram's woodland or clearing, you know. So that was the earliest name, you know, of mention that you could associate the name with the ram. And you would see the Bagley arms, and you would see it with the crest. So you'd have the crest is at the very top of the shield. The blazon is the shield, and the blazon is usually mentioned as or, three lozenges, azure, I believe, and but you would see that kind of bounce around, you know, with that description. But at the top of them, the crest, you would see some with the ram's head, and you would see some with a wyvern. So you could almost assume maybe the ones that had this land that was, you know, associated with the name Ram had the ram's head on it. But you could tell from the beginning that Bagley Hall was, or the estate of Bagley was a property that was seems to had several different heirs. It was kind of split property. Even College of Arms had mentioned like, oh, Isabel and Ellen were heirs and da 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 da. Well, not when you go through the rolls. When you actually look at the actual historic documents, they weren't heirs. They had received what you would call a dowry. They were dowry properties, and then in some of these rolls, they are suing for their dowry rights in Bagley. They weren't heiresses, or what one guy said, heraldic heiresses. Okay, this is in the 1350s, and most of these, by 1400, all these people have died off, and they're calling them heraldic heiresses. Okay, but in 1401, James Bagley is bearing the arms of Bagley. Now, this is over 50 years after supposedly the Bagley family died out. So, and this family is very extensive, and the properties, you know what I mean? They own properties all over the place. This family is not only in Cheshire or in Bagley, they're in Knutsford. They have expanded properties, and they're even associated down in Warwickshire, where they're down with the Downs family of Cheshire, and down there recognizing grants and being involved in grants of property outside the county. So, like you said, if you found that interesting, I can break down the next part. So I'll tell you, to review the genealogy one more time, there's Peter and a Hammond. Okay? Peter has a son, William. Hammond has a son, John. Okay? So this grant's from like 1228. And so you would say, you go back 20 or 28 years or whatever. So Peter and Hammond, you're looking at as close to the, you know, we're alive in the, probably born at the end of the 1100s. So if you're really interested in this stuff, you know, see how many views we get. I'm going to upload this video. You'll be able to see it soon. And next week I'll break it down. We'll go through, you have two lines. And like I said, it's always been a split property. And the most famous guy out of the Bagleys that everybody associates to is Sir William Bagley. You know what I mean? So Sir William Bagley was the first to almost incorporate the entire estate. That's why, you know, there's a lot known about him. So, and at one point, he had incorporated so much of it, according to Peter Lester's work in one document of a grant, it was being called Williams Park. So he had almost obtained the entire estate by that point. But once again, he obtained a lot of the estate, but the arms are still being bared after his daughter's death and so forth like that. All the way up until 1401, they're still on a document that blows away what the College of Arms says that the family of the Bagleys died out, with a seal of the Bagley arms. The only thing different, there's a fez in between the three lozenges. So, but I hope you enjoyed this video. And once again, my objective is to shoot it into some DNA evidence. I would like to find some descendants of Lees, not the ones of Lee right now that have switched their name and changed it to Lee to inherit property. That's a whole different issue I can talk about when I go through my College of Arms papers. But I want to find descendants out of some of these families I see on this genealogy chart. I'd like to hire a genealogist to run them down, test DNA with some of our members of our family, and really get into it, because we show common ancestry. I mean, DNA don't lie, and that's what it's all about. We're getting in here. But like I said, I'm going to break down this genealogy chart to you guys. It's pretty impressive. It took a number of years to do. So if you really want to know about it, like I said, I got my PayPal linked. I need help on this kind of research. I still got a bunch. I got a bunch of documents still from the Middle Ages, some from the 1400s that I haven't been able to transcribe. There could be more information on the family tree in that. There could be more mentions of family members. But I'm going to run through that. I'm going to share like some of the like I said, the College of Arms response. I got a letter from the Queen of England, the Duke of Norfolk, blah, 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 whatever, you know. It makes no difference to me. I'm just here to share this stuff with you. I'm not trying to, you know, I'm trying not to come off in a bad way. I'm just saying. It costs a lot of money to do this stuff. If you guys want to know about it for real, donate, share the video, help get some people to subscribe, and let's work together. If you're a Bagley descendant, if you're a descendant of Peter Bagley, if you're a descendant of any of the Bagleys, let's work together. Let's come together and let's try to really get it. If we can do a DNA project like what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about 23 or me and none of this. I'm talking about, it only goes back so many generations. We got to have a DNA expert, somebody that specializes in that can look at the DNA and say, yes, you guys at this point are sharing a common ancestor. You guys are related. And I mean, running somebody down off this family tree chart I'm looking at, it's about as long as my leg. But anyways, it's good tuning in, talking to you guys. And once again, just subscribe, donate. I'll have my PayPal listed. That's my objective right now. If the PayPal is not to hire genealogists to run down some of these families, to find descendants, a few different descendants to test. It's going to be an expensive endeavor. If I can do the DNA thing, it's going to be with genealogists running them down and, well, you know, things of that nature. It's going to be probably $8,000-$10,000. So, but the result is this: we can say without a doubt, through DNA, this is who we are. We are related to these families. So, but thanks for tuning in. And like I said, I'll come off next week if we get enough views on this video. And I ain't talking thousands of views. I'm talking about 200 or 300 views. If I ain't got 200 or 300 views by next week, I'm not going to make one. I'll wait till there's 200, 300 views to continue doing a video on this genealogy. And like I said, I'm going to break it down from there. And we left off between Peter and Hammond, who apparently were brothers, and they had sons, William and John, and the grant that I just mentioned. So tune in and I'll break the rest down and give you the sources so you can find them and look it up and verify it. And that's the way you do it. And you guys have a blessed weekend.